The 1994 Hawks are at least 1 year away from serious playoff consideration. They should finish around the 500 plateau, give or take a game. Well, that was the preseason prediction in Gridiron magazine for the University High School football team. And it shows one thing. It's nearly impossible to measure the heart, soul, and determination of a football team, and those attributes help make the 1994 year as exciting and historic a season as there has ever been in University High School history.
We're going to have to line up and believe we can beat people, not get pushed around, get rid of some of this ego stuff and some of this attitude stuff, and start quitting worrying about I and start worrying about a team, get some team unity, get some success. I think the most important thing for us to do is win an opener.
It all started in late August in a game against Martinsburg High School, a team that will become the first of many upset victims of the Cardiac Kids. However, things weren't exactly sparkling from the start. In the first quarter, the ball is snapped over punter Brad Lamp's head, and Martinsburg would take a 7-0 lead. But the Hawks answered back in lightning fashion as Sam Mancinati takes the ensuing kickoff, and look at him go. Nobody's going to catch him. He goes in from 89 yards out with the first of many thrilling scores the Hawks would have on the season. And they would take the lead in the second quarter. Danny Fulmer breaks tackles and helps move the Hawks deep into Bulldog territory. Then quarterback Lance Hoover would throw one up, and look at the great grab by senior Tim Watring. Hawks would then take the lead. In the second half, another Bulldog touchdown. Hoover hooked up with a player whose name would get a lot of mention during the year. It's Donnie Quisenberry. His 53-yard grab puts University back out on top, 18-17. But again, Martinsburg scored to take the lead, and in the fourth quarter, the Hawks were down by 6. But this just made it easier for the Cardiac Kids to add to their legend. Hoover hands off to Quisenberry, but he fumbles, and Tim Watring is there and scores the touchdown. And when Rob Peterson kicked the extra point, University had an upset win, and its significance wasn't lost on head coach John Kelly.
I said, we just shocked the world, buddy. We just shocked the world. Yeah!
The next week provided a slightly easier opponent as University dismantled East Fairmont. The final score, 34-7, and the Hawks were 2-0. Next up, the Buccaneers of Buckhannon Upshur on what turned out to be Donnie Quisenberry night. But it was Brad Lamp who got things going in style with a big hit on defense. Then Lance Hoover asserted himself on D, picking off a Randy Kaufman pass. Then Mr. Hoover changed hats and rumbled 24 yards, twisting and turning his way down to the BU 29-yard line. That set up a Quisenberry touchdown, 7-0 Hawks. In the fourth quarter, Quisenberry was on the spot again. He recovered a fumbled punt in BU territory and then did the honors, again scoring to up University's lead to 20-8. Finally, Quisenberry finished off the scoring with an 11-yard run, and BU was victim number 3. 26-8, University's a winner. The winning streak ended there as West Fairmont knocked off the Hawks 17-6 in week 4, and the season reached a turning point a week later against Lewis County. A loss to the Minutemen could have been disastrous for University. But on homecoming night in Weston, the Hawks gritted out a hard-fought win. After falling behind 7-0, Donnie Quisenberry came up with a big play by picking off a Lewis County pass. Then the big play offense struck again. This time, quarterback Hoover hits Tim Watring for 50 yards and the game-tying touchdown. In the third quarter, the charge continued. Hoover hits Quisenberry on a crucial fourth down completion that kept the drive alive. Then Hoover hits Watring for the pair's second touchdown completion of the night. That would be all the scoring University could muster, but the Hawks refused to lose by playing great defense. Look at Danny Fulmer stop Justin White with style. And when Brian Baker comes up with a crucial sack of quarterback Billy Pritt, the Hawks had their 4th win of the season. 14-7 is the final. At this point, the Hawks were hitting on all cylinders, and it showed for the next 3 weeks. The first opponent were the Tigers of Elkins, and they learned all they wanted to know and more about the 1994 University High squad. Adam Viski got things going with a touchdown dive to make it 7-zip Hawks. Then Lance Hoover hooks up with Tim Watring for the 3rd time in 2 games, and it's 13-zip Uni. In the second half, the Big O keeps rolling along. Quisenberry gets in from 5 yards out, making it 20-7 University. And Floyd Thomas knows it's just not his night. And all doubt was erased by the Hawks defense. Brad Lamp sacks quarterback Justin Eisner, and Sean Rowan, not letting the shaky camera affect his moment of glory, rumbles 66 yards with the fumble and scores to make it 27-7. Quisenberry put a capper on it with his slashing 12-yard run, and University had themselves a convincing 33-14 win. Next up, the tough Monarchs of John Marshall. They invaded Pony Lewis Field, and the Hawks showed they can knock anyone who got in their way. Down 7-0 in the first quarter, University scores on an unbelievable play. Quisenberry fumbles, but as several players relax, the quick thinking of Jeremy Lusiter, he picks up the ball and chugs it in the end zone for a made-to-order fumble-rooski. 7-6 at the half. In the third quarter, Adam Viskey puts University in the lead to stay. He rips a touchdown run up the middle to make the score 13-7 Hawks. Then University does it on D. Cliff Ward with the ball, and Jody Gutta knocks it loose, and Quisenberry is there for the recovery. Then Hoover is there to pick off a Jason Willis pass. The Hawks would stave off 2 late John Marshall drives and hold on to win 13-7 in true cardiac fashion. Up next, the high-flying Liberty Mountaineers, and in this shootout was the Hawks who had the bigger weapons. In the third quarter, Hoover looks for Donnie Quisenberry. He bobbles the pass, but holds on. He turns on the afterburners, and goodbye. He streaks down the sidelines for a score and a 28-14 University lead. Liberty answers as quarterback Brian Harmon weaves his way in for a touchdown, but that would be Liberty's last hurrah. Hoover dials long distance, and Watring is there to answer the call. Chalk up 6 more for the Hawks, and it's 34-22. Then Quisenberry showing his stuff again. He bounces this run to the outside, avoids a couple of tackles, and bye-bye. Make it 40-22 Hawks. Then Danny Fulmer was there on defense. He picks off a Harmon pass, and University picks up their 4th win in a row. Final score on this one, 46-22. Game 9 wasn't quite as much fun for the University Hawks as they were knocked off by North Marion 24-7. But just a week later, the Hawks were able to shake off that loss and take on arch rival Morgantown High in a back-and-forth game. University drew first blood as Lance Hoover hits tight end Brad Lamp over the middle, and he rumbles into the end zone. It's 6-0 Hawks. After a Mohegan score made it 7-6, University answered right back. It's Quisenberry, and look at this spectacular run. He breaks several tackles and gets to the outside, and bye-bye, baby. 67 yards later, he hits pay dirt, and it's 12-7 Hawks. The University fans love it, but again, the Mohegans answer. Gary Buchanan goes up the middle, and Morgantown takes back the lead, 13-12, but not for long. Later in the same quarter, Hoover goes up top, and oh, what a grab by Tim Watring. His diving catch gives University the lead for good, 18-13. There was no scoring in the third quarter, but John Kelly kept his troops up heading into the fourth quarter, and it paid off. Hoover throws his 3rd touchdown of the day, this one to Sam Mancinati for 24 yards, and the Hawks had a win in the first ever Mohawk Bowl, the final 24-13, and the Hawks had themselves an 8-2 regular season record and a 7th seed for the AAA playoffs. After a week off, the Hawks played host to the biggest school in the state, Cabell Midland, in the first ever playoff game at Pony Lewis Field. Despite being considered a rather large underdog, University was undaunted. In the first quarter, they caused the Knights fumble and made the most of the turnover. Lance Hoover goes way up top and finds Sam Mancinati for 45 yards. That helps set up this play. Hoover from 11 yards out scoots into the corner of the end zone, and look out, the underdog Hawks are up 7-0. The Knights drove the ball well at times, but they never were able to put the ball in the end zone. And in the second quarter, Sam, the man, Mancinati, showed he really did have the playoff magic in his feet. He takes a screen pass and goes all the way, 80 yards behind head coach John Kelly, and the Hawks were up 14-0. Cabell Midland was never able to get the ball in the end zone, and the game was over. University had their first ever playoff win and a date in the second round with Ware Red Riders. It would be a classic, and Lars Lifrak was there.
Yes, there was a full moon last night at Pony Lewis Field, but there was no reason to be frightened. Yes, there were some scary creatures running around, but that's no reason to scream. you got the feeling this would be a weird night. No, not a weird night, a weird night. In the hard-hitting first half, the only score came on this John Mihalis 10-yard run, and it was 7-0 at the break. But in the second half, there was no extinguishing the scoring. The first touchdown was set up by University defense. Lance Hoover picked off this Tim Mahalio pass, and the Hawks were in business. And it wasn't very long before Hoover inflicted more damage on the Red Riders. He hit Sam Mancinati for a 14-yard touchdown that made the score 7-6 after a missed extra point. University High head coach John Kelly did what he does a lot. He paced, but he had to be happy to get on the board. And he had to be ecstatic when Weir fumbled in the fourth quarter. And lineman Jeremy Luzader jumped on the loose ball, and that set up a touchdown pass from Hoover to Donnie Quisenberry. Just get him in the open field, and nobody's going to catch him. He went 20 yards into the end zone, and the Hawks would go for 2 points. They did the smart thing. They got the ball to Brad Lamp near the goal line, and nobody's going to stop him. He gets in, and it's 14-7 University. But Weir was in the state quarterfinals for a reason. They're a great team, and they came right back at the Hawks. Hassan McNair gave his team good field position with a kickoff return to near the 40-yard line. Then Dante Jeter strutted his stuff. He took a run outside and got all the way down to the 5-yard line. And then it was Mihalis again. He did the honors scoring from 3 yards out, and that tied the game. That's when things got tense. University had the first chance to break the tie, but Lance Hoover was sacked by several Red Riders, and the Hawks had to punt the ball away. Weir did move the ball, but on 4th down at the 20, Mahalio couldn't shake the grasp of Danny Fulmer, and with less than 2 minutes left, the Hawks had one more chance, and that's when everything went crazy. Maybe it was the full moon, maybe not. But on 2nd down from the 23, a crazy play occurred that will go down in University High history. After avoiding 2 sacks, Lance Hoover hit Sam Mancinati with an impossible 77-yard touchdown that sent the crowd into hysterics and gave University a 6-point lead. Weir had one last chance, but when Brad Lamp sacked Mahalio on the last play of the game, it was time for University to celebrate and Weir to think about what might have been.
Get it up! Come on, John! Right here!
My, oh my, what a game it was. We are joined by John Kelly, head coach from University High. And Coach, give us your thoughts again as you saw that play unfold.
Well, I was standing on the sidelines. I mean, Lance took off. I mean, I knew they had just been pouring in on him all evening long, and he started towards the other sideline. I got screened by several of our offensive linemen and their defensive people chasing him. I heard the crowd roaring, so I knew he must still be up and alive. And my first thoughts was, you know, Lance is so intelligent. I thought he'll throw the ball away if we won't take the sack clear down there near our goal line. And I was thinking overtime. And the next thing I knew, I seen the ball get launched, and I said to myself, well, he won't throw it away by throwing it 50 yards. And then the roar, and then of course my eyes focused on Mancinati, and I knew once Sam caught, there wasn't anybody in the whole city of Weirton could catch him. He's a speedster. So, you know, I was numb. I mean, I was absolutely numb, and just started to almost cry. Tears got in my eyes because these kids have been great. They've been able to pull it out all year long.
What is it about this team? It just, you said last night the motto is we refuse to lose. How can a team be able to do this game in and game out?
Well, I don't think I have the answer for that. I don't think any coach has the answer for that. You know, you're dealing with 15 to 18-year-old adolescents, and I mean, these guys they're a joy. I don't know. I mean, they have found ways that I can't describe. I mean, it's not a coachable thing. If it was a coachable thing, I'd be doing it all the time. I just don't know. It's just wonderful to be around and to experience. And I mean, I'm real happy for the kids and real happy for our school and the program.
And the fun would continue as the Hawks would advance even farther into the uncharted waters of the AAA state playoffs. And in the semifinals, University traveled to Charleston to take on the higher-seeded Herbert Hoover Huskies. A win was more than anyone could ask. Anyone except a member of the University Hawks. Herbert Hoover scored first to take a 6-0 lead, and that meant only one thing. They were right where University wanted them. In the second quarter, Hoover steps back and fires to Sam Manzanotti, and those magic hands grabbed another touchdown. This time between two defenders to tie the game. After a penalty, the Hawks made a gutsy call and went for two. It paid off as Hoover found Tim Watring, and the score was 8-6. Then Manzanotti was in the spotlight again. He picks off a Justin Rollinson pass, and the Hawks are ready to swoop in for the kill. And it came in spectacular fashion. Hoover again performs one of his famous death-defying scrambles behind the line of scrimmage. He gets a big block from Chris Freem and then uncorks one toward the end zone. Tim Watring is there, making sure to get his hands under the ball, and the touchdown and extra point would provide the final margin of victory, 15-6. And when the clock struck 0, this Cinderella team would find itself in the West Virginia State AAA Finals. And even though the University Hawks came up on the losing end of the score in the finals against South Charleston, this was definitely a team made up of winners, a group of players, coaches, and fans who never gave up, who never listened to the so-called experts, and who never, ever stopped dreaming.